Hey guys, it's Jamie Francis from Francis Brothers Films. Here's a quick tutorial on a very famous scene. You know this scene, the shower scene from Psycho? There's a really cool shot at the end. I thought it would be really cool to recreate this. Let's get into it.
Now this shot here, from the start of this shot to, you'll notice it'll kind of click into sort of like a live shot. Now this, supposedly from the start of this eye to basically there is a static shot. As you can see, it kind of clicks in and kind of wobbles a little bit. That old film look where it sort of kind of jiggles. Now this is sort of a live shot of her just pretending to be dead. And you can see like her pupil move and stuff a bit. And actually this shot here where it actually cuts, to the shower, is supposedly, the rumor is that she blinks in the shot and they used it, but they just fixed the blink with that shot of a shower. Here is, I'm loading a new project in After Effects CC 2018. And let's just get to it. I shot a shot of infinitely less, I don't look as good as Janet Leigh. She's stunning in that movie. And is a really poor acting trade-off, but unfortunately you're just gonna get me. So I even have this little fuzzy piece of something here. I don't know why I have that there. Anyway, as you can see, I blink and I drool. But I'm blinking on purpose because I wanted to see if I could improve the blinking, instead of making it blinking, just sort of like lock my eye in static. It's actually a pretty straightforward shot if you just think of sort of the elements in the shot. So let's just go get into it. Now I shot this shot at 4K, and my whole plan is to make it an HD final shot. I'm using the 4K because I want to zoom right into my eye without losing a lot of quality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert into this into a new composition. But what I'm going to right click, put new comp from selection, and it's going to create a 4K composition here. But I don't want that. I'm going to go up to composition settings, and I'm going to change it. I'm going to change it to 1920 by 1080. So now you'll see that my shot is quite close up. But we're going to cheat a little bit by zooming in, because if you look at the original shot, the one we're trying to copy, her eyeball takes up a good chunk of the frame, if you see this. So essentially we have a 4K shot I shot, static, and now it's in a 1080 HD composition. I'm just going to find a chunk of the shot that I want to use. This is kind of the end here. So I'm going to go from about here. That's going to be the end. And just dragging it. I'm just roughly, I should have edited this in Premiere first and then brought it out to After Effects, but I'm going to import the actual shot. I'm going to match this as best as I can, even the time wise. It goes from there. So let's push that over there. Okay, so this is how long that shot is. And then it cuts. Oh, it's quite long. Okay, so we're gonna go to that cut, that awkward cut there. I'm on the wrong side of the frame, which I will switch. That bugs me. So I'm gonna flip this. I'm gonna horizontally flip this to make it a little bit more like the original shot. I don't know how I missed that. I don't know why I must have had it twisted in my head. Okay, so now I'm going to pick a frame. I'm going to pick a frame that I'm going to be using for the still shot for the first part of this. So like this whole shot where it starts to turn into like a real shot, which is like right around there. So you can even see like the pupil kind of goes a little bit bigger, just because the match wasn't perfect probably. In the original movie, unfortunately I missed this tear, kind of like a water tear duct thing. I kind of wanted to mimic the water as best I could, because the stuff you can do in After Effects now would actually make this shot even easier to do. Not necessarily better, because obviously this is a classic, but to make it a little bit more seamless, is you could actually have like a water droplet like kind of coming from here and actually moving still while still having a static eye. So anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna take that off. I'm going to find a frame where I'm pretty static. I'm gonna use this frame right here for my static shot to start with. So I am going to duplicate this layer, keep the bottom one for later. I'm going to call it later, but this is going to be my still frame. Still frame start. That's what I'm going to call it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm going to go to layer. I'm going to go time, and I'm going to freeze frame. So when you freeze frame, that becomes the whole layer is this. Like as you can see, if I even solo this, like the whole frame, you essentially just made a picture out of your footage. One thing I did forget to change back was I was just tweaking the transform here. So we have the horizontally flip. That's the minus 60. But what I'm going to do is just go minus 100 and 100. So this is still full resolution. I'll go to full. So it still looks decent because I shot it with 4K with pretty bright lighting overall. So we have the static shot. I will reset this later thing to the same, just for now. That you can ignore. I just did that so I could find the frame. So anyway, we're on our way here. So if you can see here, I want to get as big eye as possible, because Janet Leigh's eye here is like super big, but it's not much bigger than what I have on my frame right now. If I blow this up a little bit, kind of match the frame bit, and then I'll transparent it. I mean, it's quite higher, but as you can see, I've kind of got it superimposed over my eye. What we'll do is start animating this thing. So I'm gonna ignore the possibility of the quality being a little bit low. There's a little bit of techniques we could do to kind of like raise the resolution a bit, kind of sharpen it a bit, but I'm just not really going to worry about that right now. You're not really going to notice it. I think it's still going to look really good. But anyway, let's match this eye at the start. So what we're going to do is I'm going to click the keyframe watch thing, whatever they call it here, stopwatch, on the scale and the position, maybe rotation too, because we're going to have that curve. The big, as you can see here, like the Dutch thing. Okay, so the eyeball, let's match the eyeball. So we've keyframed the position, scale, and rotation. And what we're going to do is just, again, we're still in this still frame, which we're probably going to keep until it clicks into the real shot, in the actual shot from Psycho. But let's start matching my eye. So you can see my eye underneath the Psycho eye. And I'm going to just scale this up. And the curve kind of goes from there to there. So we're going to start... Again, this is just sort of like matching this as best as I can. So I'm going to just move the position over. I'll match that. I mean, obviously this is not going to be perfect, but it's going to look pretty cool, I think, still. So I'm sort of just matching the eye. I'm trying to figure out which way I need to go here. I'm really bad with direction here. Where am I going here? So I think I'm closed. My eye's a little bit more closed than hers originally. I'm gonna match like the pupil and the eyeball size as best I can. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, so we have her eye and then my eye here. So I have the rotation stuck at -19, which I think is pretty decent. But what we'll do now is pull this, because we're going to use this still frame, I'll go right to the end. And again, we're going to match, but we're going to, again, keyframe all these. Make sure you have the keyframe on. And then we're going to match this size. So it's definitely quite a bit smaller. And there's definitely a little bit kind of a back. Like she's kind of laying flat. So we'll go back to 0 on the rotation. Again, this isn't a perfect science on how big the eyes are and stuff. I think we've matched up pretty decently. You can even see the background. Let's actually just see what that looks like right now. So unfortunately, like as you can see, it looks like a static frame, which is, you don't have the grain, you don't have the kind of the stuff that makes something alive. But so far, it's looking pretty cool. So it goes into this final placement, and what we're gonna do is take the information that we have here. We have on the end of this still, if that makes any sense. I'm actually gonna pull that over just slightly more. And we're just going to copy those. And now we're going to, on this live shot, not static frame, if you remember, we used the last frame of this. And now you can see me moving around and even blinking and stuff. What we're going to do is take the that information from that last, like the landing part of this still frame, and then we're going to paste it right on to the first frame of this live shot, just like that. That's all I did, is I just pasted it. And now if you can see this will go right into this live shot. But again, now it's just going to stay there. So we have a bit of an issue with that. I'm just going to save this. As you can see, it's we have a bit of an issue because it doesn't pull back. So what we're gonna go right to the end of this shot now. Let's see how long this. Oh, it's actually over. So, I think I pulled it too far over. But yeah, okay. So there. So we're gonna end the shot there. I'll even trim the comp to that, but so she ends up pretty small, kind of down to like my original shot. So what we're going to do is, I'll just take this down a little bit, but I'm going to again keyframe the position, scale, and rotation. Probably not, the rotation's probably not needed. We're probably not going to move that, but I'm just going to do it just in case. And then we're going to scale this down. So basically now this shot is done. It is basically a lot like the original Psycho shot, where the first shot is just a static shot. It's rotated and then goes into the live shot. What I'm going to try to do is another attempt utilizing the same sort of technique and using the same composition, but we're going to gussy it up a little bit and add some grain to a static eye, put that over top of the original 4K shot, and it's just going to end up being a lot better. Let's give it a try. This is the edit I want. I want to use this end shot of it. So that's all I'm doing. I'm just copying that. It's actually this file name right here, 11500709. And I'm going to make a new composition. So now I'm going to, with this composition, this new composition, I'm going to paste in that edited shot. And I'm going to reset all the old transform stuff. Blah, 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 doesn't matter. So now we've restarted. And we're going to flip this. Whoop. Flip the shot like we did before. So this is the shot we have. This is that little edit we made before by finding the shot we wanted to use. So we have that in a composition. Now, before I do any kind of like fancy stuff, and again, remember this is a 4K composition. That doesn't really matter, but it matters right now because that's what I shot this thing in. Is we're going to do all our effects, like our cleaning up, we're going to do it all in this composition, like the eye blinks and stuff. But we're also going to keep the information of the skin and take a still of the eyes to make the eyes a lot more static and a lot more dead, by keeping the kind of the rest of the shot, which is kind of naturally shot, and make it a little bit less static looking. That's kind of the key. So what we're going to do is, we got this shot here, and I'm going to duplicate it just by Control D, or, edit, Control D, edit, duplicate. And again, we're going to make a still frame here, but what we're trying to do is we're going to take the eye. Basically, the eye is the only thing that's moving that shouldn't be. So I'm going to take a nice, clear, just going to find a chunk of eye here. As you can see, my eye is moving up quite a bit, like on a minor level, like. And I'm going to go to Layer, Time, Freeze Frame. So now we have a static shot here on top. And then now we are just simply going to, what we're going to do is just click the mask pen tool here, and then we're going to go around the eyeball. Basically anything, anywhere where it like affects when you blink, which is probably like quite a bit, like quite high up here. And that's it. I'm going to name this eyeball. Static. Eyeball is not moving. To give it a little bit of realism, I'm going to add a little bit of grain. So I'm just going to go add grain, or add grain here, or match grain. You can match grain, but I'm just going to add some simple grain. And I'm going to go to final output, and I'm just going to keep the default. Actually, yeah, I'm going to pick one because I don't think it turns on if you don't put anything on. So we got a little bit of eyeball grain in there. I'm going to turn down the intensity quite a bit because I know I'm going to be zooming in the shot quite a bit. So I'm just going to go like intensity half. And then actually the size, I'm going to even make that smaller too. So I'm going to put 0.5 on that too. So this grain plugin actually does, it's quite robust. Like it takes a lot of power to actually add to it. So, okay. So now we have a dead body, and that's really all there is. See, you can see that I blink down here. Oh, I didn't. That's so creepy. But anyway, I forgot that I'm probably going to need to do the same with this eyeball. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to duplicate my eyeball, static eyeball, and I'm just simply going to move my mask. So I'm just making another eyeball, a static eyeball. I might go a little bit crazier with this one because the curves of my eyelids are a little fat and they affect a lot of my skin around the eyeball. Basically, you want to like make the thing that's gonna give it away that you put something on top of it, right? Like even my eyebrow might affect it there quite a bit, as you can see. Okay, so that's basically it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just sort of replacing this this final image, the affected composition, which I could call it that, with the original shots we used. So basically, I'm gonna go back into my old composition. I'm gonna delete my psycho thing, and I'm just gonna import this composition, the one we affected, which is this one. So I'm gonna rename this. This is the no blink layer video. So it's basically the same video, but now it just doesn't have the blinks. And I'm gonna drag this in on top here. It's not going to match perfectly because we're going to have to work it a little bit, but we're just kind of using it as a reference, the one we first did. So the still frame went from here. Let's put that on top. So we had it set all these points here. I'm just going to copy it. Really, I'm just going to copy it so I don't have to do it again. So I'm going to take this cut here, and we're just going to add those camera moves. But because we have a full shot, and we're not using still frames, you can kind of actually get rid of that. But we're just going to use it as reference. So what I'm going to do is take all the positions from the original one we did, copy that, and then paste it onto the no blink layer. The eye was like this, and then it was a bit of a curve. We went with an 1819 basically. And then we went down, we will go to this keyframe. Remember, this is like the first attempt we did with just the static frame, but we're just kind of using the same numbers, right? So we click these keyframes. Now we went to about 163 on the scale. 163 goes like there-ish. But with, forgot about the zooms, or the rotation was 0. Again, we're just matching the, roughly what we did before. And that's really basically, that's all it is. We just made the eye static, even though we had some blinks in it. And we're going to have to see what it actually looks like, because I haven't really played it back that well. What else did we do here? I'll delete that. Go to layer. And we started with the same as that one. We won't have to even change because we don't have a still frame. We're not using a still frame like we did before. We went to about 86 and 86. And then we ended here. Again, we're just matching these keyframes here. We're not doing anything that we hadn't done already before. Like, it's, this is essentially done, this shot. Let's render it out and see what it looks like.
Thanks again for watching. I'm Jamie Francis for Francis Brothers Films. If you like this video in any way, why don't you subscribe to this channel? We bring new content to this channel Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then special on Saturday or Sunday. Usually a short film or something cool on the weekend. And hit that notification bell to get notified for all our new content. Thanks a lot. I'll see you next time.